I haven't even had time to fart this week. It's been the busiest week of my life. 3 commercials that are going on TV, 3 event videos, all with immediate turnover. It's been absolutely ridiculous. I haven't actually de-rigged my rig in about 2 weeks, but I was doing it now and I thought, what better chance to de-rig and then re-rig and film it. So that's what I'm doing today. We're gonna build out my rig that I use for TV commercials. It took me a while to figure this all out, so I thought, why not throw the information on the interwebs, and if someone else wants to adapt any of these measures, feel free. Right, so, start with the brain, the red brain. I was gonna detach the base plate, but I hate doing it, so I just left it on there. But at step 1 is put the base plate on, of course. I use this 40mm Atlas Orion Anamorphic for pretty much 90% of the shoot. A couple of the shots I switched out for like a 65mm. I didn't use the 100mm, which is like there. It was just too big and obnoxious, and it was too much of a like run and gun shoot. We had to film everything all in one day. And then I was editing all night and I had to turn it over. But yeah, it was crazy, man. I have a lens support, but I don't really use it because I feel like this little tightening mechanism on the red, it feels sound, you know? If you want to be like maybe not. If you want to be double safe, maybe use a lens support, but I think it's fine. It feels like just something else that you need to add on the list of things to do. So basically what I'm saying is I'm extremely lazy and that's why I don't do it. I use these hypercore batteries. They last quite a while. I also use these when I need to like run on a gimbal or something like that. That slots right on there. And that's like the foundation of your rig. I also have this Leno Adapter, which comes in essential later, but that's for your Leno cable. So that's when you could adapt your monitor to your camera if you're not mounting it, which you'll see later. I'll explain later, hang on. But anyway, Leno Adapter on the side, wham. And then I throw on some handles. I have these little tassels on it. They look tacky, but they're very effective. I use these when I'm hand holding and I attach my bungee cord. I've lost my bungee cord. It's the most crucial, here it is. My bungee cord, you might have seen it in other videos, but I basically attach it, and then every time I walk, the suspension of my walk is taken out by these. It's very good for hand holding. That's what the tassels are for. I never know how tight's too tight. I get scared of breaking threads. I think I'm the world's strongest man and I can do that. So you got a handle, look, you can hold it now, it's fantastic. I got a little bit handle crazy just because I like to be able to grab what I'm holding. True. The second handle is probably the most crucial part to this whole thing working effectively. Because of how heavy the lens is, the weight distribution is very poor. If you have your handle traditionally like facing backwards, your wrist would be broken, maybe 4 or 5 places. So what I do is I swing my handle around. This took me so much longer than I'd like to admit to figure out, but we switch the handle around and you screw it in, and then all of a sudden the weight distribution, instead of falling one way, it's absolutely central, which is, once you put the matte box on, it's absolutely integral. But nothing good ever comes without more problems. So the problem that this causes is traditionally the monitor would mount right about here on the camera, right there. But now obviously the handle's in the way, so I've had to get this Frankenstein rig. It's called Hold It, and it does just that. It holds whatever you want. It's got like a mount, and it came with like a horseshoe mount as well. I used to put my microphone on here, and then I realized when I did this, I needed it for far more important things. So I welded like a nut and a bolt. There's probably a way more effective way, but it wasn't in a 1/4" thread. So I went to Bunnings and bought a 1/4" little thing here, and then just put the screw onto that and then screwed that in, and hey presto, you've got something that'll fit into a 1/4" mount. I thought I was the world's smartest man when I figured that out. I'm sure you could go online and just buy one that's probably like already with a 1/4" thread, but I didn't have time because this was such a rushed last minute shoot. I didn't even really have time to prepare. So yeah, I really like it. This was like probably one of my favorite things about it is just when because this thing's so malleable, you can just like put it any what way. If I was like filming out of a car and I was like in the car like that and I was like, I could just flip that way, sit it that way. It was unbelievably practical. Big fan of my own work there. Your Leno cable, remember before I was like, you'll figure it out later, this is the moment. So that would screw into there, not screw, it just plucks in. Run that around your handle, and you probably want to try and get like a nice little S-curve so it doesn't disrupt too much. I found this was probably the best curve I could find because then my hand still fits in there perfectly. It doesn't really get in the way of anything, you know? That goes in there, and all of a sudden now you have connection. The things are working, they're friends for life, really. You could go there, you could take this and you could shoot a TV commercial, but it wouldn't look as great as if you put on a matte box. I mean, the actual commercial wouldn't. Also the camera. Everything's just better with a matte box. It looks legit. But also you can put NDs in and get your proper shutter angle and all that propaganda. So the problem with like the base plate I have, because the Red is very tall, so the base plates, the rods can't move, they're fixed. And usually you get a matte box that would have sliding legs as well, but this one jams straight into there. So I'm stuck with the problem where I have to have fixed rod lengths. I can't shuffle this back and forth. So I've had to cut my rods, got on the angle grinder, cut them up, slotted them in, and they fit just for this lens. And then I've got another set of rods for my like DSLR lenses. They're like my Sigmas. It's a bit of a pain in the butt that you have to change them all, but it's like you just make do, you know, when you don't want to just go back on the internet and buy something more practical. So very carefully, because you don't want to scratch your bloody $15,000 lens, you just ever so gently put that on. It's probably the biggest matte box I've encountered. I got it just because it fixed under the things and I could easily switch lenses just by flopping that out. But in hindsight, I think just for weight, because it's about 1 kilo, when you put the NDs in there, it's like 1.5 kilos. I think if I go back in time, I probably would have gotten something that fixes to the lens. Something that's like 114mm for the cinema lenses, and then you have like adaptive rings to fit anything else. I think Small Rig's bringing out a matte box that looks pretty good, so I might dabble with that. And for all its size, you can only fit in 2 filters. Like you would have thought, oh, something this big, you could fit in like 7. So I'm kind of stuck with the dilemma of like, I have a Pro Mist in there always, because I always film with the 1/8 or 1/4 Pro Mist. So Pro Mist is always going in. And then I have my ND, which is also always going in. But if I'm like in a position where I want the ND and the Pro Mist, and then I need a polarizer to see through like glass or something, I don't know what I'd do. Luckily, I haven't encountered that situation yet. We'll figure that out when it comes to it. Lucky I haven't been on a shoot that's looking through a car window yet. I don't know how heavy it is, but it feels very heavy. Wait. Yeah, it's about 10 or 11 kilos. When you put the filters in, I'd say it's like 11 kilos. So you finish your rig and you thought, gee, my wrist isn't sore enough, my back doesn't hurt enough. I need to add some flags just to get me over that threshold of being okay. I really want to decrease the years off my life. So you throw the flags on. This is real wank factor for me right now. You know that the flags go on. This is just to make it look bigger and more impressive for the thumbnail. I was mostly using this on like a shoulder rig, but also like a lot of like handheld with like an easy rig, which is like the big Terminator jacket, and it's got a little hoodie thing, and you just kind of get around like that. It saves your spine tenfold. Even with that though, by the end of like 3 days, I was pretty much at like Mike Tyson, spine all broken. I don't know if you saw that spit, but there was like a massive blob of spit. Surprised I didn't get into the electrics and blow this whole place up. I almost enjoy shooting event videos more now because you just get to use a little Sony, and it's like going from this, it's this camera here. You can't see it, but it's looking down. This one, you see? So this camera I would way rather use, but you can't do it. You just can't put something on TV that's from that. You could. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Anyways, hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next one of whatever these are.